Alright guys, so got home in the mail to get a package here. Appears to be from Compass Games. Let's go ahead and open it up here and take a look. Let's see what we got. Alright, so inside here you got some peanuts and a copy of Path to Hell by Compass Games. It's Operation Barbarossa, June to December 1941. This is Volume 1. It's part of the War of Storm series. So back of the box. It doesn't feel too heavy. It's going to tell you that the complexity is about a 4 or 5. Solitaire rating is about a 5 or a 6, so it's going to be, middle of the road. Got some dialogue here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the components of inside. Put my blade down here. Alright guys, so let me adjust. That way you guys can see everything I'm seeing. Give me a sec here. That's probably better. Alright. So, got that new game smell or car smell, you know. 1 grade 6-sided die. So full color, these are all going to be full color rule books. Here's our exclusive rules for Paths to Hell. Kind of going over some of the commissaries, human wave attacks, mud and snow rules, goalie, like what the goalies are, some of the Soviet tanks, so on and so forth. So it kind of here has our movement terrain charts. So the open foot's going to cost you 1, wheeled 2, and tracked 2, and that's going to go through. We've got some minefield charts in the back of the book here. I'm not sure. I may take this and get this photocopied. I mean, I have like a scanner here at the house. I may scan it and then email it to myself and go print them. I kind of like this, the broken coloring. It's kind of like an egg white, or like a shell, like an off-shell tan color. Looks like cracking in the sand. I kind of like that. So we've got the War of Storm series official rule book. So this is the V1 rules. And basically it looks like we're going to have about 27 pages. Because I haven't paid Lost Barricades or any of the other volumes, I'm going to have to give this rule book a thorough read through, so that way I kind of understand what's going on. Because I haven't played the other ones, I'm going to have to brush up on their rules before I'm able to just jump right in. But again, not a big deal, not a deal breaker. Just give me something to do in the evening. Probably read this while I'm in bed. I really like the color. So far, I really like the layout of this rule book. It's got. So I noticed Nicholas Escobu. I'm probably saying his last name wrong. Escobi. He's one of the designers, and he's on my. He's subscribed to my channel, so I'm sure he'll correct me if I say his name wrong, which is okay. But they did mark in red where things are updated from the other rules. So anything new has been put into a red so that it's easy for me to see the changes. I mean, again, that's not really going to affect me because I haven't played the original, but I kind of like how they do highlights. It's going to go over the hand-to-hand, the close assault rules, armor assault, resolution of armor assault, anti-armor assaults, morale, formation morale check procedures, so on and so forth. So the cover, I kind of dig it. I like the the two-tone backdrop of the guys in their office and guys on the field. I kind of like how they shadow washed it together. Nice effect. So we've got some charts here. I've got my terrain chart. Carries over to the back. So you got rules for pontoon bridges, trenches, rubble, gullies, rails, fords and major rivers, bridges, fields, minor rivers, major rivers, marsh, hills, uphill only. There's trails, dispersed buildings, build-up areas, woods, light woods, rough, open. So it seems pretty standard. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's pretty common. This chart is your battalion morale chart. So it's going to have morale modifiers. I don't know how this quite works yet, but as soon as I'm done reading the rules, I'm gonna like literally try to do a few videos walking everybody through how each turn goes out, and probably play an entire scenario without turning the camera off. And I'm gonna try something a little different than I normally do, so that way everybody can kind of see what's going on here. So we do have some charts. These ones seem to be the top here. We have defender combat values, so your combat charts, defensive type movement charts, offboard artillery charts, air location charts, and spotting charts. In the back, it's going to have another combat chart and how you can tell your modifiers. You're modified by columns, hand-to-hand combat, and so on and so forth. Basically, everything the rules are going to cover. I really like the layout. I like how clean it is. I like how they've made it. Really, it seems very organized. I mean, we'll see once I'm searching for stuff if everything I need is there. That seems to always be the real test for me, is I need something and it's not on the chart, which really irks me, and I have to go dig in a book. So I won't really know that until I start playing it and really starting to find out what it's like. So we have this is the German penetration chart. Basically, it looks like they're weapons, like their specific type of weapons and their charts. Again, I'll go more into this. You've got the Soviet charts for penetration, armored assault charts, Soviet AF class, AFV, excuse me, I can't talk today. The aerial attack charts, we got German and Soviets. We have another morale chart, so it looks like we're probably going to repeat ourselves here. Yep. And then we do have an overlay chart. So I haven't had a game, to be honest with you, in so long that I actually had to physically cut out overlays for my maps. You know, anybody who's played a lot of Avalon Hill or SPI, the bookcase games from Avalon Hill, the SPI games, a lot of those did have overlays. I haven't seen it in forever, and I'm not thrashing Compass Games or Nikolai or anybody for using them. It's just something I haven't seen in so long that it kind of throws me off. Now, the art on these, the detail on the art is, I mean, to me, is really good. I see a lot of games, and I'm not going to name other companies that do it, and they're okay, and you can tell what they are, but this really seems like they put in a lot of effort to me to really dictate the hill and the way that they did the shadowing on the picture. You can see on some of these ones here, there is actual A, B, C, D, E little numbers, and I don't know what that quite means yet. But they are bunkers, so it's probably going to have something to do with that. We did get a bunch of scenario cards. So it looks like we've got, you know, scenario 1 all the way to scenario 13. Let me go a little bit greater into detail. So you have one here. Basically, it's going to give you historical information. The order of battle, so starting elements, your elements and where units start. If you're going to get reinforcements, it would be in this location here. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get a little closer for you. German map, they're going to start on the edge south. It tells you exactly how to orientate your maps. You're going to have some Soviet starting, scenario lengths, victory conditions, and so on and so forth. And then turn 2, scenario 2 is on the back. So each one looks like they're double-sided, minus, I would assume, 13. and 12 are on 1. So they're all going to have a double side for us. Except for scenario 11, the supply convoy. And on the back here, actually no, I'm wrong again. Can't be right all the time, guys, sorry. So I want to go into greater detail of these in just a few minutes. I'm going to set those over here to the side. So now let's take a look at what I've been waiting for, the maps. Okay, in order to do that, let's get a better camera angle down. All right. So, we do have our maps here, and let's see if I can get these in for you guys to see a little bit better, okay? So they have, they're kind of thin, but most of us use either a plexiglass, or in my case, I use picture frames. And for me that works because I don't have a giant house anymore. I don't have a garage. I live in a 3rd-story apartment / condo. It just doesn't have room. I have the 3 bedrooms, but I just don't have room to store giant pieces of plexiglass anymore. I don't have a garage or storage unit. So for me, picture frames work. I buy the cheap ones at Walmart. You can buy them anywhere. You can get the plastic and throw the frame away. It doesn't really matter. I see a lot of people don't even use them. And depending on the size of the map, sometimes I don't use them. So the artwork, again, is very, very top-notch. Over in here, you're going to see your fields. You're clear. You're going to get, each one's got an indicator. So this one's map B. I've got one over here that is map A, and it's going to basically, let me see if I can get an angle there. It's basically going to say map A on it. We do have another one's got a lot of cities and roads on it. And I am just struggling here with my camera work. There we go. A lot going on a few of these maps, and I kind of like that. Sometimes I know designers try to keep it simplistic, but a lot of times during battles, the countrysides, sometimes they were very simple and sometimes they weren't, and it looks like these ones are. Because it's tactical, you're at a smaller amount of space per hex. And you're not going so far. So if there's a lot of force in that area, your map is going to fill up real quick with force. And I really like how they portrayed that. I think it's easier for me to look at a bigger map and say, okay, well, everything's more spread out, but it's because of the gap in, how many meters per hex. So sometimes it's miles. You can be talking 50 miles a hex, and yeah, the map covers my table, but it's spanning like countries. Versus this is a small isolated area at a company level, so I'm going to have a leader and a couple of a leader and a couple of units and maybe some tanks on the side, and there's my company, not necessarily hundreds and hundreds of troops. It's you're definitely at that company level, and I like the way that these maps look. I'm extremely excited to get this clipped and punched and set up so that we can play it. Basically, I really want to see how this is going to affect. It's really, to me, it's really going to slow down the movement point. Seeing those terrain charts and the movement costs, it's really going to slow down movement and cause a lot more firefights, and it allows for more cover, allowing for, in my opinion, the battle to last longer. It's going to be harder to hit my opponent and wipe them out when there's modifiers for that. And again, I haven't played, so I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time, but I would definitely like to see how this one plays out. We do have our tokens. Okay, there's two size tokens. There's 5/8 and 3/4 tokens. Let's go with the 5/8 tokens first. Okay, so all of our units are going to come like this, basically. And these are your 5/8 basically infantry units and special leaders. So you're going to have, they say infantry on the side. You've got your values and your indicators up in the corner here, and then your values on the bottom. So I've got some infantry, some engineers, some mortar crews. I am going to have... my eyesight is bad, guys. More mortars, mech infantry. And then over here, like, you're going to see a ton of leaders. So I'm basically going to have quite a bit at my disposal. I know that the leaders really are supposed to change the way the game is played and alter some of the things within the game. I'm hoping to have more information the next time we meet so I can explain how that works. I know that they're allowed to do things to really change the game. So even if myself and another friend sit down to play the game, we have the same exact scenario. Some games, after a while, there's no way to change how that goes. From what I've heard online and seen the designer talk about, is that these leaders and the abilities that they have at their disposal is really going to change. You could play the same game twice in a row with the same people and the same units, and it may not play out the same because they can choose different leader abilities. And to me, it's really unique, and it's a smart way to, I think, go with the game because of in real life, people don't necessarily make the same decision 2 battles in a row. And they don't always, there's no way of knowing what they're going to do. So to have more options than just, move and fire, I think is pretty neat. So we also then, so those are going to be my basic troops. I have one sheet of Axis and one sheet of Allies. So they're Russian counterparts. I also have, these are basically going to be your tokens for the game. So game markers. You're going to have they have some barbed wires, roadblocks, anti-tank ditch, dragon's teeth, the machine gun bunkers, fortifications, and then statuses. So if they're routed, obviously your targets for your 75mm guns, minefields, a turn initiative, and finished. Markers. Now we get into the 3/4 inch markers, and these are all going to be your armor divisions, your tanks, your mechanized, any of your specialty weapons. So from looking at it here, you've got a wide variety of items at your disposal to use. There's some air support on the bottom over here. We're going to have our different tanks, the T-38s, the BT-7Ms, 45mm M37s, artilleries, the 82mm M37s. So I'm pretty excited to definitely check out how everything works. Again, same with the Germans. It's very similar to your Russian counterpart. Excuse me, guys. So basically, that's the component overview for what is included in the box to Pass to Hell. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and start to punch and clip it so that we can get this thing to the table. So we just looked over the initial components of Pass to Hell, Operation Barbarossa, June to December of 1941. As far as components go, I think everything looked fine. I didn't see any misaligned counters, which is really nice to me. I've had a few games in the past, and I won't name names of the games because I don't want people to get upset thinking I'm picking on them or anything like that, but I have seen some games where the counters were completely misaligned. I'm a perfectionist to a point. Some of my OCD comes out when I see that. It bothers me. I'm partially colorblind, and as you can tell, my glasses are super thick and I have really crappy eyesight. So when I'm looking at counters and I see the next unit's color on this counter because it was misaligned at the print, it really pisses me off. With that being said, I was very excited to see this game. I didn't see anything like that. You get a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. They didn't cheap anything, in my opinion, as far as there's no white paper with a, like, they actually took the time to use colored paper. The rule book seems to be laid out really well. Easy to find stuff. There's an actual index in it. I really dislike games that don't put indexes in it. From first impressions, I didn't see any misspellings or mess-ups right off the bat. That's a positive note. I did miss in my video, there was a red die hiding at the bottom of my box, so I got one red, one gray die. You know, and I think that what's going to happen is I'm going to be pleasantly surprised with how this plays out. You know, I've got quite a few games based on Barbarossa, and the only semi-tactical one that I have is Conflict of Heroes. I do like Conflict of Heroes. I'm not a huge fan of the point system that it's utilized in the game. I mean, I know that it's a huge fan favorite among wargamers. People love it, and I'm not saying that I don't enjoy the game. I'm just not a huge point person per se. It irks me at times because I feel like I should be able to do more, and I'm restricted by this point system that to me just seems unnecessary, I guess is how I feel about it. I know that there's a lot of different viewpoints. You know, some people like these giant, only play, the bigger the game, the better the game, or, you know, there's the more complicated it is, the better it is. I'm not that picky for the most part. You know, I like what I like, and I'll pretty much play anything that comes in my viewpoint. And when Path to Hell was announced, I had to jump on that pre-order. I had to get it. I've been waiting for this game now for a few months. I'm excited that it's here, and let's go ahead and we're going to end this video. Next time you see this game pop up, we're going to be going over the rules and explaining how you get it started and what each turn entitles, so that way hopefully some of you decide to jump on. If you're not a tactical wargamer, maybe you'll check it out. If you are and you've thought, well, hey, I've already played enough Barbarossa games, I really don't want to give this one a spin. I mean, right now it is released. They still have it at Compass Games on that $60 price point for pre-order. I'm not sure when they're going to raise. They show the retail at $80. I don't know when they're going back up. But so far, totally positive outlook for me on this game. Nothing has irked me the wrong way yet. So let's go ahead and with that, I'll end the video.